Hey guys, welcome to my video today. My name is Dr. Tom LaHue, and welcome to my channel where we talk about all kinds of things related to the Enneagram. And today we are in a relationship series, and we're going to be talking about being in relationship with type 2, the helper or the giver. Big shout out to all my patrons. I really appreciate your support for this channel. In the description below is a link to my Patreon channel. Also, there's a link to my website where you can book coaching appointments. I'd love to meet with you and help you talk with you about what it looks like to grow and to mature and to be more balanced. And if you need help figuring out your type, your personality type, we can help with that also. On my website is also a link to our certificate programs. We do offer 2 certificate programs now, one in Enneagram coaching and one that will be starting in a couple of months on Enneagram relationship coaching. At least I should say at the making of this video, we'll be starting in a couple of months. Who knows when you're watching this video? We might already be in full process, but just check out the website if you're interested in any of those coaching programs, doing what I do with people. It's a very rewarding work, and if you've learned anything about the Enneagram, you see how helpful it is to your own life. To be able to use that to help others is just fantastic. So if you want to join us in one of those programs, I'd love for you to consider that. All right, so let's talk about type 2. Okay, let's talk about type 2. Now, I feel like when I start this, I need to tell all my type 2 friends out there, and those of you guys that live with type 2s, this is going to be a long video. I already know that. I've got pages and pages of notes, and I'm going to try and keep it under an hour. And the information is coming from several different resources. I've got several different books that I'm looking at right now on Enneagram and relationships as I'm working on the certificate program, the Enneagram in Love. And of course, the old faithfuls, I've got all those on my desk as well. And then just, my experience. My wife is a type 2, wing 1. We've been married 30 years, so I've got a lot of personal experience. And of course, interactions with people in my coaching appointments and in ministry. A lot of experience with type 2s. And I want to begin by saying to all you type 2s, I don't mean to offend you, okay? I know that 2s and 1s, criticism can be difficult, and realize that I do come across pretty harsh in all the videos I make. The Enneagram is painful, and it can be difficult to look at that side of yourself that you're not proud of, or that side of yourself that needs improvement, or that is changing and growing and developing. And I realize that this is all very sensitive, and 2s are very sensitive people. They want to be pleasing, and they want to be loving, and they want to be treated with that same kind of love and respect and care. And realize that before I say anything else, all of this comes from that heart or that attitude of loving and caring about you so that you can be the best person that you were created to be. In the relationship coaching certificate, we're going to be talking about, when couples call, or when couples are having problems, or when people are having issues, how their Enneagram type affects their relationships. So let's dive into the type 2 in relationship, what it's like to be in relationship with a type 2. What are they looking for? And I would probably begin by saying, 2s are really looking for an intimate ally. They're looking for somebody that will love them, show up fully to the relationship like they do, that will make them a priority as much as they make you a priority. If you're in a relationship with 2, you know what it's like to be loved. You know what it's like to have the attention and the spotlight on you. And 2s show up fully into their relationships, and they are probably looking for somebody that would be an intimate ally, that would love them and care for them, and somebody that they could share their life with. All right, so let's talk about the type 2. A lot of this, I want to say, anyway, in my research, in my reading, and in my experience, one of the things that I thought was interesting, one of the books said, was as children, they may have grown up being helpful in order to be noticed, in order to be seen. Look, I'm helpful. Look, mommy. Look, daddy. Look, I'm helping in some way. I'm contributing in some way. Are you proud of me? Do you notice this? Do you see this? In relationships, healthy 2s can be warm, benevolent, passionate, and optimistic. 2s are in that optimistic group. They want to believe the best. They want to see the best. They want to focus on the best. And like I said, they can be very warm, outgoing, sometimes extroverted, probably about half and half extroverted and introverted people, highly empathetic. Some say that twos can feel the feelings of their partner, that they can empathize so strongly with their partner that they can sense what people need sometimes before they need it. We're going to talk about that and why that's a good thing, but why that can also be a problem. They want to please their partner. They want to be pleasing to their partner. They want their partner to be happy. Not just that they want their partner or their spouse to be happy or their boyfriend or girlfriend to be happy, but they want to be the source of that happiness. They want to be the reason why that person is so happy. They want to be not only a friend, but a special friend, a intimate friend, a close friend. They deeply desire to feel truly loved, wanted, and desire to be an insider. Their biggest fear is to be, this is painful. If you're a two, this is going to be painful. Their biggest fear is the fear of being unwanted in life. That everybody else wants to be around each other, and for whatever reason, you are seen as defective and you are unwanted, not needed, not wanted to be included into the group. And the biggest fear is the fear of being unwanted. They put a lot of effort and put a lot of themselves into relationships. So what do you think they're expecting? They may not say it directly, but they may not say it directly. But anybody that shows up that fully into a relationship is probably going to expect that their partner should show up that fully into the relationship. So if I'm going to give this my all, and if I'm going to give this all of my energy and all of my attention, then I'm going to expect that you also are going to make this relationship a priority. Now that can be difficult when another person of another type may have a different set of priorities in their life. Like say fives, for example, who have a priority to create distance and space between themselves and others. Boundaries, very focused on boundaries, especially the self-preservation five. The castle five, an eight, who has a different priority of being powerful and strong, or a seven of going after what they think will make them happy or satisfied, or a three who's very driven to excel at work, or a one who wants to be right and good. And here's a two saying, no, I need to be the priority. I want to be a priority in your life. I'm making you a priority. You should respond and reciprocate that attention and that focus that I'm giving you. And here you are now, another type person, externally focused on some other pursuit. A two might feel left behind or left out or unwanted. Realize that is an inner core fear of feeling unwanted. And people may want you, but they may not know how to make you feel wanted. Realize that desire to feel wanted, a feeling is something that is within your yard. I can't make a person feel something. I can try to demonstrate my love and care, but what if my demonstration of love and care isn't enough? What if I'm not doing it, giving that vibe or that communicating that message to the degree in which it would be appreciated? Well, you can see that the two might feel hurt. They might feel left out. They might feel like their worst fears are coming to pass, that they're not really wanted. They're not really desired. So they put a lot of effort to show up fully into their relationships. So you can expect that they're expecting that the other person or other people in their relationship circle, the expectation is that they will show up fully as well. And I imagine that probably twos get frustrated that they put a lot into relationships that doesn't seem to be reciprocated. Twos may realize how much effort they are putting into nurturing a relationship, and because they know how much energy, maybe they're aware of it, maybe they're not, but let me say it this way. When a two is going to relate to somebody, they're going to put a lot of energy, focus, time, attention into that relationship. And if it's not going to be worth the effort, you might see a 2 pull away and just not attempt. Like, I know how much I give to a relationship, so do I really want to try to start, these relationships? For example, like, let's say maybe a 2 is feeling like maybe I should go back to church. Maybe I should go back and try church. You know what? When I go, I'm going to end up serving and working in the nursery and teaching the little kids class and volunteering with the women's shelter and volunteering with the homeless shelter and being a greeter. And, it's just not worth it. They want me there to serve. They want me there, to use my kindness and my love, but it's just such a extreme drain on my energy that maybe I'm just going to have to back out of it and say not at this time. Because with 2s, it might be a little bit of all or nothing. I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at, is if they know that it's going to be all or nothing, you might see them, involved at the nothing level. You might be surprised and think, wait a minute now, I thought 2s were supposed to always be involved and out there out in front, greeting everybody and making everybody feel welcome, making the hostess, making everybody and the servant. But a 2 may realize that once I sign up, once I say yes, I'll be the school, parent that's there to volunteer. They might realize how much this is going to cost them, because they're not going to do it halfway. They're not going to, be content with just sending, a bag of cookies along. No, they're going to want to show up in a big way to be supportive of the ones they love and care about. And so there may be a little bit of a cost evaluation at the beginning of the relationship. Is this going to be worth my time or not? Is this really going to be worth my energy? Are these other people really going to show up into this relationship, or is it going to be very one-sided? And I would imagine that a lot of 2s would feel like their relationships tend to be tipped a little one-sided, like they're carrying a lot of the weight of that relationship. Okay, so let's say it like this. It takes so much energy to show up fully in a relationship that maybe I'll just sit this one out. I'll end up serving or taking care of everyone. I just don't have the energy anymore. I keep giving, but no one's really giving back, and I'm tired of pursuing others. That word pursuing, that's an interesting concept, or an interesting word. Seems like in couples, one is the pursuer and one is the withdrawer. I don't know if that's the right word or not, but the 2 will probably often feel like they're the pursuer until they maybe get frustrated and feel like, why don't they ever pursue me? Why don't these people ever call me? Why don't they ever invite me? I'm always inviting. My home is the one that's open to everybody, but nobody wants to seem like they open their home to, it's not reciprocated. So maybe I'm just done pursuing, and maybe I'll withdraw. And you might see a 2 go from pursuing to withdrawing. 2s can, may in their head think my partner needs to make space for me. 2s, I think, make other people a priority in their life. And so we might expect that they would assume that we're going to make them a priority in our life. 2s feel most valued when their partner is present with them, especially in emotionally rich conversation. Conversation is, where we exchange our hearts, our minds, our ideas, our dreams, our plans. And 2s are going to want their partner, their spouse, their significant other to be connected with them in emotionally rich, meaningful, conversational companionship. And if that is lacking in the relationship, again, you might see a 2 withdraw from the relationship. 2s tend not to focus on themselves. So in a relationship with a 2, you may find yourself needing to draw out their wants, their needs, their desires. If they're frustrated and might see that the 2 is frustrated, the 2 might not, open up about their frustrations, at least not immediately. They might, but chances are, the 2's orientation is to be one of a servant and one of a pleaser and somebody there to take care of others. And so if they've got a gripe, they might keep it to themselves because, they understand it's not pleasing to voice your gripes. I think of twos often like tea kettles, which, I think of Mrs. Potts on Beauty and the Beast, who was a two, I would imagine. Mrs. Potts, the tea kettle, the tea kettle can start to simmer. It gets a little upset, gets a little angry, gets a little heated, gets a little agitated, and it starts to simmer. And it might simmer for a while. Eventually, what happens? The tea kettle gets to a point of combustion and, blows a whistle. And two, of course, we understand goes to 8 or looks like an 8 when they're stressed. And, that's a good analogy for a 2 going to 8 when they finally have enough. And, they might come out with something like, after all I've done for you, I have patiently and quietly taken care of you, and this is the thanks I get. This is the way I'm treated. This is the way. That could look like a 2 going to 8. I think there's other ways in which 2s go to 8 under stress. Like imagine a 2 taking their child to a hospital and not getting the care that they deserve. Maybe the hospital's being sloppy. You might see that 2 who wouldn't complain about their own treatment stand up in a very defensive posture like a mother bear to protect their child or their child's health. They might not do that for themselves. They might, the whole time they're being cared for, apologize that somebody has to take care of them. But when they're there next to their child's bedside in the hospital, you might see that 2 show up in a very profound, powerful, demonstrative way in order to protect that cub, Okay, so when a 2 is simmering, obviously you can see that they're upset, you can see that they're frustrated, you can see that they're not having their needs met, but they may not want to vocalize that or be direct about that or come across in a unpleasing way. You may have to draw out of them. You may have to pursue them. Remember, they pursue you. So the expectation, we might assume, is that you would pursue them and say, hey, I can see that you're... And I think you need to do this very gently. 2s tend to want to deal with people in a very gentle way. So I think in a gentle way, you might say, hey, I can see you're upset. Is everything okay? Do you want to talk about it? And then give them their space and respect their desire. Do they want to talk about it right now or not? They may not want to talk about it, but I think it's important that you kind of knock on the door and make the bid. Do you want to sit down and talk about this? And then I think be careful to try to listen to the heart and not just listen to the words, because in conflict, we tend to want to defend ourselves. And I think if you just let the 2 pour out the problem, pour out their heart and say what's going on beneath the surface, they're going to feel a lot better that they've got that out. They've gotten that barrier that's there that's creating a disconnect in the relationship. 2s want to be connected. They want to stay connected. And there's a barrier here. There's a problem. And they may have a difficult time voicing what that problem is or being careful. Remember, their fears to be unwanted. So if they point at a problem and say, look, you said the other day that you were going to take the car and get it washed and you didn't, and then and I got upset about, and they may have a hard time dealing with that problem, because if I bring that problem up to the surface and talk about it, you might get upset, withdraw from me, and then I'll really feel unloved. You might be upset with me and not want to be in relationship or be connected to me. And so problems become very problematic, because how you've got to deal with the problem. If you don't deal with the problems directly, remember, you end up dealing with them indirectly. If you don't deal with them out in the open, then you just carry them with you, and that will lead to resentment. When you don't deal with problems directly and you don't have it out and have a conversation about it, it's more than likely going to end up at some simmering level of resentment that is going to ultimately destroy the relationship. Resentment is like a cancer. It's like rust, it just gets in, creeps in, and then just eats up. And you're having arguments in your head, but not having them out loud. For fear that if I have these arguments out loud, then it'll prove, that this person doesn't want to be in relationship with me. And so I'll just sit on it. And when you sit on it, resentment builds. And you may not realize as a two that you're in that way might be contributing to the very thing you're afraid of. You might be contributing to the demise of a relationship because you're allowing resentment to grow because you're not necessarily dealing with problems when they come up. And there's another way in which that line to 8 could be very helpful for you. Eights, when they're upset about something, they want to call it out right now. They want to deal with it right now. They don't want to sit on it. They don't want to beat around the bush. They want to deal with it right now. And I think in many ways, our line of disintegration warns us and says, you need to do what I do or you'll end up feeling like I feel. And in that sense, you might say that an 8 might say to a 2, why don't you just deal with it? Why don't you just look the other person in the eyes and say, look, you should have gotten the car washed and you didn't. Why didn't you get the car washed? And that sounds very direct and that sounds very harsh, and that's probably not at all in any way in which a 2 wants to see themselves coming across in this world. But the reality is if you could deal with conflict a little bit sooner and a little bit more direct rather than sit on it and allow it to simmer and fester and resentment to grow, wouldn't things be better off in your relationships if you could show up a little more present into conflict and deal with things a little more directly, like an 8? It might keep you from looking like an 8 later. If you could act like an 8 earlier on, it might keep you from looking like an 8 in your stress. Okay, so reciprocity is another interesting word. Reciprocity. Reciprocity means this relationship is reciprocal. I scratch your back, you scratch my back. And I don't think that they're doing things for people, like I'm going to do this and then you're going to scratch my back. I'm going to scratch your back, then you're going to scratch mine, right? I don't think they're doing it like that. I think it's just kind of an operating system that lies beneath the surface that I think 2s truthfully really do believe I'm here on earth to take care of people. I'm here on earth to meet needs. I'm here on earth to serve people. It's kind of like the 2 worldview might say, everybody out there has needs. Everybody out here is troubled. Everybody out there has got problems in their life. I can lighten the load. I can make things better for them. I can assist them. I can help them. And in doing that, there's a sense of purpose. And really, I think that's a great purpose. I mean, I kind of wish I had that purpose for my life because it's very noble. It's very respectable. And you can hear in there a sense of pride, right? I mean, pride is the sin of the 2. And remember, 2s, pride is one of those sins that doesn't let you see it. Okay, it's not like gluttony. If you spend time around me as a 7, you're going to see gluttony. I try to control it. I try to be, a good counter 7 and limit my gluttony. But it is so instinctive in me to, if I have 1, I need 2. If I've got 1 electric guitar, I need 2 electric guitars. If I have, if I have 1 night out, then I'm thinking about what can we do the next night out. Gluttony, it's obvious, and I see it everywhere. I think 2s really have a hard time seeing pride because pride is one of those sins that masks itself. No, I don't have pride. Pride will make you say you don't have pride. Pride will make you say that, no, I'm not like that. I don't struggle with that. But think about just the expression of that 2 worldview of seeing people out there with needs and you're there to help them. There's a certain level of, well, wait a minute, aren't you a people too? What needs do you have? What is your problems that you need help with? I mean, let's put you in the same group with all of those people out there that need help. See, the 2 has a hard time with that. No. I'm okay. No. I'm fine. No. I'm doing all right. I'm here to help. the little people. I'm here to help the little kids, the children, the disabled, the infirmed, or the stranger that needs somebody to welcome them. I'm here for them. And we are glad, we appreciate that. I mean, that is a great role that needs to be filled, and we're more than happy for you to fill that role. But I think back to this word reciprocity is, I'm sure it's got to just trouble the loving, kind hostess servant too, when all of this attention is shown to people and all of this concern and all of this care, and it doesn't seem to be reciprocated. It's like I'm holding up my end of the deal here. I'm encouraging, I'm gracious, I'm thoughtful, I'm careful with what I say, I'm loving and supportive. And then when I need support, where's mine? Where are the people that are supposed to care about me? And remember, that fear is being unwanted. So the fact that they're not catching what I need and supporting me is going to make it to, more than likely, feel like they're not wanted. Realize this about yourself, twos. You have a superpower. We all do. Nines have a superpower to understand everybody else's perspective. Sevens have a superpower to reframe negative into positive. Twos, you have a superpower to pick up and know what people need, sometimes before they know that they even have a need. You can just sense it. You can walk into a room and you can see the troubled, the difficult, the hurting, the person in need of encouragement. Now, like I said, if you're worn out and exhausted and relationships are not going well, you may just turn around and walk out of that room because you know how much energy it's going to take and you just don't have anything to give. You're empty. I get that. But if you were in a more healthy state, you would walk into that room, you would see the need, and what would happen? Like a moth to a flame, you are drawn to that person to lend support, to lend encouragement, to lend praise and a helpful word, a kind word, a compassionate smile, attention. You give attention to people that need attention or that you believe need attention. I think that you got to realize that other types do not share that superpower. Okay? That's a very helpful thing for you to understand, is I don't have that superpower. And even when I do pick up on somebody having a need, that does not in any way necessarily mean that I'm going to try to meet that need, that I feel obligated to meet that need. That's got to be a bewildering thought to a two, that a person could see a need and then feel no responsibility to meet that need? Yes, that is a true statement. In fact, there may be some types who think the fact that now I see your need, I'm not going to meet it because you need to grow up. You need to mature. You need to become responsible. I'm not meeting your need. That's a sign of weakness. I'm not going to help you be weak. I'm not going to participate with your weakness. When you can grow up and be competent and take care of yourself, then we can have a relationship. So I just want you to understand that other types do not perceive needs of others at the same degree that you do. And secondly, when they do perceive needs, they don't necessarily in any way feel any obligation to meet it. Now, when somebody operates like that, it might be easy for the two to feel like you don't care about me. If you're not tuned in enough to know what I need out of this relationship, then you don't care about me, because the two is so tuned in to know what you need in the relationship. How come you're not tuned into me? And I just want you to see that other types don't necessarily have all the same gear that you have to tune in like you tune in. It doesn't mean it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not interested in you or they don't care about you. It just might mean that they don't have the same operating system you have to tune into the needs and know what you need when you're not saying what you need. So you might have to say what you need. That again is very hard for a 2 to say what they need. Why? Well, you should know what I need. I know what you need. How come you don't know what I need? Because you don't care about me. And if you know what I need and you're not contributing or reciprocating or meeting my need, it just indicates that you're not really fully invested in this relationship. I'm not wanted. I'm not cared about. And I think couples could get stuck in this kind of loop, of I do care about you. I do love you. I do want to show up fully in this relationship, but showing up fully might look different. In other words, 2s, you've probably read this or heard this before. Perhaps the people in your life are loving you in their own way. Like for example, a 9 might love you by, I'm not going to point out problems. I don't want problems, and I assume everybody else doesn't want problems. And if you're having a problem, I'm not going to make it worse by talking about it. And so a 9 might feel like they're showing up fully into the relationship by not addressing anything and standing back. And a 2 might feel like you're not loving me. You're not interested in me. You're not pursuing me. You're not drawing out of me what's wrong so that we can solve it. And realize that from a 9's perspective, they're going to be bewildered that you're upset with them because they're thinking that they're loving you the best way they can by not talking about it, by ignoring the fact that you're upset. Why would I want to talk about a problem? Why would we want to bring the problems to the surface? Problems are best left to resolve themselves. Now, I get it. That's not in every situation. That's just an example, okay? Or an 8 or a 1 might try to show up by telling you what you need to do. Well, here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to do. And a 2 might feel like you're not listening to me. You're not really caring about me. You're just trying to solve a problem. You're just trying to get to the bottom finish line so that you can move on and fix the gutters, or so that you can move on and order your pizza. You don't really care about me. But an 8 or a 1 might feel like by telling you what you need to do, they're empowering you to strengthen you and loving you to the best. Or a 5, by remaining very cold and aloof and disconnected and then giving you information, they might feel like they're really loving you by remaining distant, keeping their boundaries, not hugging you, not leaning in, and giving you information. And you might feel like you don't really care about me. You're just giving me, a phone number to a lawyer, and that's not really caring about me. But from a 5's perspective, it may very well be caring for you. I just want you to see that I think sometimes we're trying to love each other, but it's like we speak different languages. And some things get lost, in communication, or in a lack of communication, we might say. So reciprocity. I've taken care of your needs. How come I'm not a priority to you? And I just want you to see that maybe you are a priority, but maybe they're just not communicating it in a way that is most meaningful to you. Now, if you're in a relationship with a 2, it'd be wise for you to understand this so that you can try to communicate in a way that's much more meaningful. Since they tune into what people need almost automatically, it really troubles them when their partner is not tuned into them. They might think, well, either my partner is not tuned into me or they don't really care about me. I must not be a priority to them since they don't know or care what I need. And again, I just want you to see, you have a superpower that detects people's needs. The rest of us may not. The entire world revolves around their perceived love or lack of love in the relationship. I also want you to see that for many types, that's not true at all, okay? So for a 2, that statement, which I got out of a book, I didn't make that statement up, okay? I just read that in a book, that their whole world, their entire world revolves around perceived love. Do I feel like the other people love me or not? No, their entire world revolves around what they perceive. Do other people love, care about me? Are they concerned about me? Especially their partner. I just want you to see that, first of all, that's perceived, because the other person might think, of course I love you. I told you on our wedding day. Realize that a lot of types are like that. They don't wake up wondering, do these people love me or care about me? That is something that is inherent in your two-ness, to wonder about that, to question that, to be concerned about that. I don't think, for example, that 7s or 5s or 9s, and probably a lot of other types, 8s, I don't think that they're waking up wondering, today, does my partner love me? Do they really care about me? We're just going to assume that of course you do, unless there's a problem. Unless you're indicating to us that you don't, I'm going to wake up assuming that of course you do. Why would there be any question about this? I think that 2s are going to question that kind of stuff when many of the other types, I should say. I'm not saying every type does it, but not to the degree that 2s would. 4s might. But they long to encourage and praise their partner, but they really want the same thing back. There's a principle that I've learned with the Enneagram, is the very thing you give is what you want to receive back. Okay? And the very thing you search for is what in unhealth is what you give in health. So let's go to this principle of the very thing you give is what you want back. What do 6s give? Loyalty. 6s are loyal friends. What do 6s want you to be? A loyal friend. What do 7s? 7s want, they give you laughter and happiness and adventure. What do 7s want from you? They want you to be their laughing buddy, their travel partner, okay? 9s don't give you problems. 9s don't want you to give them problems. 8s, they give you power and encouragement. They want you to fuel their sense of their own power and strength. What do 2s give? Love, attention, focus. People are a priority. They give all of this attention and this focus and pursuit after people. And what do they want to receive? They want to be the center of someone's attention. They want to feel like people care about them. They want to feel like they're a priority. They give the very thing they want. They want to be pursued. They want to be cared about. They want to feel like they're important to you, that you're needed, that they are needed by you. Okay, so they give appreciation, they give attention, they give focus. They would like to receive that back, especially from their most important person. What if that most important person is distracted? What if that most important person is a workaholic? What if that most important person is too busy cleaning the gutters? A 2 might begin to feel their worst fears arising. Important for 2s to remember that they cannot give when they themselves are depleted. Okay. 2s might not pay much attention to their own needs. Their needs like rest and alone time and quiet, and their need for being in silence for a while, or even they're just their own interest, because they're so focused, you might say over-focused, on the needs of others, the expectations of others, the desires of others, that 2s, of course, might lose their own sense of their own needs. So here, back to the 2 worldview. Everyone needs something, and personally, I have what it takes to make each person feel whole again. I can play a part in carrying out others' burdens, lightening their load, and making the world a better place. There's 2 kinds of people in this world, those that love me and those that just don't know me well enough. Okay? What would a 2, how would a 2 might respond if they feel like, well, obviously I've upset them and I'm a problem for them? You might see the 2 withdraw away from that relationship. If I can't win, and for whatever reason, this person is not going to respond to me like the loving person I know I am, you might see the 2 just abandon ship. Just move away. Like, I can't be in a relationship with that person. That person's flawed. That person's messed up. That person's, broken in some way. They've gotten the wrong message about me, and I can't recover that. So I just have to accept that and move on. Okay. Communication and conflict. Most 2s dislike conflict. Because why? If I get into conflict with somebody, their worst fear is that person's going to dislike me. They're not going to want to be in a relationship with me if I'm always griping at them or I'm always bringing up problems. their worst fears begin to arise. I'm going to be unloved and unwanted if I am in conflict, so I just won't address it. And if you don't address it, what happens? It goes beneath the surface and creates resentment and really sabotages the relationship. Most people would rather you just bring it up. If you're upset about something, bring it up in the moment and say, hey, why did you do this? I don't understand. This isn't cool. Bring it up right in the moment, and we can deal with it, and then we can let it go, change or correct the principle that's being questioned, and move on. But the two might not know how to bring it up in a way that alleviates their fears, and so they might just let it sit beneath the surface, and then they might spend a day or 2 days or 3 days in this sort of sulking, pouting, angry, frustrated, withdrawn state, which is ultimately going to bring about the very thing that you're afraid of, is that people are not going to want to relate to you if you're in that state for very long. They're going to think they're upset, they don't want to talk, they're angry, they're frustrated, they're not happy, and they don't want to talk about it. So I'm just going to back away and withdraw from them. So it's a flawed strategy. I want you to see that. It's a flawed strategy to not deal with conflict. And twos are afraid of conflict because they don't want to be criticized themselves. Remember, their sin is pride, and they don't want to be criticized themselves because criticism feels like you don't love me. Criticism feels like, you're attacking me. And that's not a pleasant feeling for somebody that is all about being connected. They desire to be the source of your pleasure, not the source of your criticisms, not the source of your conflict. Twos may become quiet instead of sharing their frustrations. Since I'm obviously the problem to them, I might as well just be quiet. And if they care about me, they'll see that I'm hurt. But that's not a very mature way of dealing with frustrations. If you have something that you want, or you want something different, what's the appropriate way to deal with that? Make a healthy request. Just make a healthy request. Say, I would prefer this instead of that. I would prefer that when this happens that we do this instead of that. It's a healthy request. You're allowing the other person to choose what they want to do. You're not demanding. And it gives the person the ability to now, okay, well, I understand I offended you, so I can course correct and then show up in a better way to this relationship. Okay? They desire to know and love others and to help others, so they desire that others would want to know them and love them. They want to be wanted. They need to be needed. They want to feel loved and cared about. Remember, twos are in the feeling group, right? They're in the feeling group, so they want to feel loved and cared for. Just remember that your feelings are your responsibility. I can't make you feel. No one else can make you feel something. So if you're not feeling what you want to feel, realize that other people cannot generate feelings in you. It may be because you're focusing your attention on the things in the relationship that are making you feel unloved. What if you could shift your focus and see that people are trying to love you in their own way? It just may not be in a way that is most important to you. So they want to be wanted. They overextend themselves for others and feel loved when others reach out to them and seek them out. People often begin to just expect you to show up, though, and so they don't often reach out to you because, of course, you're going to say, I did a great job. You tell everybody they did a great job. When I post something on Facebook, hey, we're visiting Grandma and, going back and seeing our old hometown, and the two post, so happy for you guys. I love you guys. I hope you have a great time. I just know that you're going to post that I see you post that on everybody's. You're encouraging and lifting up and building up others. And so it starts to mean less to me because, well, of course, you're going to show up on my post and say a kind word. It's almost like it becomes innocuous. And so that could be something that is not caught by you, that you as a two might not see that when you say a kind word, or when you pat on the back, or you say that word of encouragement to everyone all the time, then it might lose some of its significance. And it's like, well, of course you're going to tell me I did a great job. You always tell me I did a great job. But what about the other person? I need to pursue the other person to see if they think I did a good job. And of course the two then is going to feel like, you don't care what I say. You don't care if I show up to this relationship. So why am I giving so much effort into this relationship? Why am I giving so much effort? People begin to expect the attention. It becomes normal. It's taken for granted. Whoa, did any twos just hear that? You ever feel like you're taken for granted? This might be part of the reason why. You looked so happy coming behind everybody and taking care of us. We thought that's what you enjoyed doing. It just seemed like you liked it. Like that it was somehow giving you joy to take care of all of us, so we just start letting you. And it becomes expected. You give a guy $1 on Tuesday, on Wednesday you give him $1, and on Thursday you give him $1, and you see him on Friday and you say, I'm sorry I don't have $1, and he curses you. Why? Because he becomes to expect it. And the people in your life just kind of come to expect. And guess what? Take you for granted. And a lot of twos, I'm sure, feel very much like they've been taken for granted or are being taken for granted. In conflict, twos might need a little reassurance that the relationship is not in jeopardy, that I'm not going to not love you just because I'm upset or you're upset, that the relationship is fine. The relationship is not in question, that we are tied and we are connected together, and a little bit of frustration over spilled coffee is not going to jeopardize our relationship, because the two might need a little extra gentleness in conflict. They might try to be very gentle themselves until of course, the whistle blows and they've had it. But they might need me to be gentle in conflict with them. Twos may delay or withdraw from conflict. The desire to stay positive, uplifting, and encouraging, and connected, and optimistic all works against, their ability to just come right out with it and say what the problem is and say what they need. And again, twos, I think, feel selfish when they say what they want, when they say what they need. They're kind of taught as children, no, you don't focus on what you need and what you want. You focus on taking care of others. It's selfish for you to sit around and think about how you're not happy. It's selfish for you to be bored. If you're bored, it's because you're not thinking of others. If you're bored, it's because you're not paying attention to what needs to be done or what others need from you. And so sitting around wondering what you like and wondering what you could be doing with your time, that's a selfish pursuit of your time. You should be caring about others. That's very ingrained in the two. And so this is going to all work to make them have a difficult time, I would imagine, with having conflict. Because with conflict, you're saying, I don't like this. I want this to be different. My desires is that it looks like this, and you're doing it like that. But see, it's selfish to have desires of your own in a two's world. So how can they voice all of that? So there's this roadblock that keeps them sometimes from being able to engage in constructive criticism or constructive conflict. Okay, so resentments might begin to fester. Twos may realize that just because their partner doesn't ask questions or isn't as present in the relationship as they would like, it doesn't mean they're not loved. Twos may desire so much engagement that no amount of love feels like enough. Twos are likely to be hurt by things, comments, or actions that they interpret as against them personally. It's very easy for twos to get hurt when the rest of us are saying, how in the world did this hurt you? This was literally not about you at all. Remember, the sin of the two is pride, right? So it's like they should be in the center of your world. They should be thought about when you make decisions. You should consider their desires, wants, and thoughts and feelings about everything, because you're so connected to them, you're so tied to them, that they should be a consideration in everything that you do. And again, I don't think twos are going to vocalize this, but I think this is what it means to be a two. Okay, let me give you some examples of how twos might insert themselves into situations when it literally has nothing to do with them, and it might leave you bewildered if you're in a relationship with a two. Here's a person coming home and talking to their two, saying, I bought a cake for my friend. His favorite cake is chocolate. Now that seems like the beginning of an innocuous conversation. My friend had a birthday party today, and we went to the grocery store and we bought a chocolate cake. His favorite flavor is chocolate. It was a great afternoon. Here's what a two is likely to think. Do you know what my favorite flavor is of cake? Or how come you didn't get me a cake on my special day? Now, you see how the two inserted themselves into a situation that was not about them. I was talking about my friend and about a cake we had at work for my friend for his special day, and his favorite flavor is chocolate. But watch how a two might position that in a way in which they're hurt. I bet you don't even know what my favorite flavor is. And you might think, uh-oh, how did what I just say upset you? But I can see that you're upset. I can see that you're hurt. I can see that your fear is rising, that you're not loved and cared about, when literally I was just talking about my friend and cake. And to this degree, twos might share something similar with fours here, that people might feel like they have to walk on eggshells, because I'm not trying to upset you, but I can see that I did. I can see that in some way this hurt you, when it literally wasn't about you at all. The rest of us might be thinking, this wasn't about you. I mean, it wasn't, but obviously now it is. Or here's another example. The guys are going to go away for a camping trip, and I want to go with them. That seems like but a two in a low state, what might they hear? Now in a high state, I think a two would be fine with that. Great, that's fantastic. You should do that. But let's put the two in a very low state. Let's put the two in a very stressed out, unhealthy, overtaxed, overstressed, depleted state. What is the two here? My friends are going on a camping trip. I really want to go with them. Did you even ask if the wives could come? You don't even want me to go. You didn't even ask. You don't want me to be there. Now, again, they might not verbalize that, but they might internally process that. And now they're withdrawing, frustrated, hurt. Their worst fears are rising. And all you know is, I asked to go on a camping trip. How did this upset you? But the worst fears of the two begin. Now realize, the person saying they're going on a camping trip, the person that talked about the cake, they did not cause you to feel this way. I want you to see that. They didn't cause you to feel this way. It's your two-ness that causes you to feel this way. In other words, when you're feeling the problems, when you're feeling the stress, when you're feeling overwhelmed, one of the best things we can say to ourselves is, well, maybe I'm just a 4 feeling 4 things. Maybe I'm just a 7 feeling 7 things here. Maybe I'm just a 2 feeling 2 things. Maybe there's no intentional harm being done here. Maybe this is just the stuff that I read about or watching videos that 2s sometimes feel. Maybe Henry didn't mean anything by this. Maybe it's how I hear it in my 2 perspective. That's why I'm feeling this way. Perhaps no intent was intended, but the way I hear it and the way I process from a 2 perspective causes me to feel like maybe I'm unloved or not cared about, when that may not be true at all. And then if you can catch yourself in your type, you might be able to override the system and say, I need to let this thought go. I mean, they did not tell me they didn't want me to go. They did not tell me that I'm not important to them because he got him a chocolate cake. Maybe this is just stuff 2s feel, and maybe I don't need to give any more thought to it. Or here's another example. I want to buy a new motorcycle. The 2 might think things like, obviously they might think, you could get hurt, you could die, you would leave me a widow. You don't care about me and the kids. You just care about running off with your friends. Or, well, I'm going to be left behind every Saturday now. You're going to go off with your friends and leave me behind. You would rather spend your time with the boys. You would rather spend your time tinkering away in your workshop doing those kinds of things than spending time with me. Or I got a new hot tub, but I'm not really happy with it. I think I'll send it back. I don't think this is really the one I wanted. I told you when you got it that you weren't going to be happy with it. Why won't you ever listen to me? And you might be thinking, how is this hot tub about me not listening to you, not valuing you? I want you to see that. The 2s might be in a relationship sort of thinking to themselves, am I really in the position that I deserve to be here? That's pride. Am I really the priority in this person's life that I believe I should be? If I was, then they would have listened to me. If I was, then they would have cared about my feelings. If I was, they would have thought to ask me what I think about this before they just jumped into this decision. If I was, they wouldn't spend all their time separated away in the basement if I was really the priority that I ought to be in this relationship. Obviously, I'm not a priority to them. And look, there's those two fears. Realize that the people in your life didn't necessarily cause you to feel this way. The feelings are a part of being a two. If you can catch yourself feeling the stuff that twos feel, it might not be as devastating to you, and you might be able to say, hey, maybe this is just the stuff twos worry about, and maybe I can just return back to the present moment and make this about the cake, make this about the motorcycle, make this about the hot tub, and not make it about myself and about my standing in this person's life or my position. Because chances are the other person is just taking for granted that, of course, you're the priority in my life. Why do we always have to come back to that? Of course you are. Of course you're important to me. Of course you are, but every type is going to have other priorities in their life as well. They're wired toward their priorities, just like a two is wired toward their own. If you seem sad, down, or disappointed or depressed, the two is likely to feel it's somehow related to them. Well, the reason why you're sad is because I haven't been the supportive spouse that you want me to be, or I haven't been engaged in the things you want. They should, and it's like in their mind, they should be enough to keep you happy and content at all times. And if you're not content because you don't have a motorcycle, or if you're not content because you're not satisfied with your work or whatever it is, then they must be the reason why you're not content. Again, that's pride. It's something about me that you're not satisfied with. And you and your type might be thinking, this has nothing to do with you. But from a two's perspective, how could this have nothing to do with me when I am the priority of your life? Okay. If the two feels that they are not pleasing enough for you, they're not making you happy, then they might what? Just give up on trying to make you happy and just disengage from you. Only adding to now your distress and your problems, because now I was distressed about work or about not being able to go with my friends on a motorcycle trip or go camping with them. But now I have the extra problem of now I have a spouse that is withdrawing. Now you have two problems. So again, healthy requests would be a good way to solve this. Long, deep, heart-to-heart talks. If you're going to be in a relationship with a two, then you're going to have to be ready to show up. You're going to have to show up and have those talks and communication, something that I'm always working on, trying to get better at. Sevens, of course, get bored with conversations and want to go do things. Twos want an attentive partner who is fully open and honest without judgment. They want to feel connected. They want to be close. They want to feel needed by their partner. Say it like this. Twos want to be your number one. Twos want to be your number one. That's a very good way of thinking about this. They desperately give what they want to receive. Attention, focus, priority, that you're important to them or they're important to you. Twos pursue you but want to feel pursued by you. If they're feeling left out or left behind or criticized, again, they might withdraw, and they might use their superpower against you, and you might feel extremely unlovable. What do twos give when they're healthy? Love, attention, focus, concern. What happens when a two is feeling very low health, very stressed, very overwhelmed, very frustrated in the relationship? You'll know because you will feel the opposite of the way they make you feel. They don't make you feel, but you will begin to feel at first that you are unlovable, that you are just a wretch, that you are just the worst person ever. Sevens, they show up full of joy and happiness when they're healthy, but when they're upset, they just suck all the happiness and the joy out of the room. Twos, in a sense, can just sort of suck all the love and all of the care and all of that out of the relationship when they're not feeling loved and cared for. So they remove the very thing they give. We all do this, okay, in our own way. So emotional intimacy equals fulfillment. Twos can become jealous of others. If I have another friend in my life that is very special or very, it could just be a guy friend, just somebody that's taking my attention away from the relationship, a two might has a line to 4, right? Their 2 has a line to 4. They might start to feel some of that envy and jealousy of the 4, that I'm not the priority of this person. I need to be, and I want to be the special friend, and I'm not the special friend. He's your special friend. Or, this other person is now your special friend, or your work is your special friend. They may need reassurance that the other friendship is not moving them out of that preferred place. So realistic steps. Be ready to receive love, attention, support, okay, which can be a little overwhelming for some of us to receive that much attention, but you got to be ready to show that sensitivity, selflessness, and affection in the relationship as well. 2s can be hypersensitive to criticism, feeling unwanted and unloved. You need to keep that in mind if you're in a relationship with a 2. 2s can feel frustrated and lonely and resentful when they don't feel like they're being cared for, or they're not the priority they used to be or should be with their partner. 2s need to learn to be more clear about what they expect and need. 2s need to recognize that their partner is probably trying to show love in other ways that I might, as a 2, learn to appreciate, even though it might not be the way I want to experience love. 2s may tend to keep score in the relationship to see if there are imbalances between the give and take. I would encourage you, if you're in a relationship with a 2 and they're upset, reach out to the 2 first. Ask them questions about their day, even when they're not upset. Ask them about their dreams. Ask them about their week. Ask them about their work. They're liable to talk about you and yours and your stuff, but try to draw out of them their interest, how their day went. Make space for the 2, uninterrupted quality time. Learn what makes the 2 feel most loved, and then do that for them whenever you have the chance. Let them know how much you appreciate them and all that they do for you. And 2s, I think it's helpful. One last comment is, being friendly is not the same thing as making friends. Sometimes 2s are very good at being friendly, but can struggle with making friends, with making lifelong friends, with maintaining friendships, because in friendships there's going to be some level of conflict. There's going to be disagreements. There's going to be disagreeable moments. There's going to be problems that have to be worked through. And those things can be difficult for 2s sometimes. So don't just focus on being friendly and outgoing. Focus on building and maintaining deep, long-term friendships. Thank you guys for staying with me for this long for the video. 2s, your purpose is to give the very thing you seek, is love, care to this hurting, broken, backward, suffering, challenging world. We need your soft warmth, your bold determination. 2s can show up like an 8 when they need to, when they're under stress, when they're going through difficult crisis themselves, or taking care of somebody else that they love in crisis. We need that relentless strength that's covered in that velvet soft touch. We need that nurturing, compassionate voice. And you bring that in your health. So let's balance on our wings. Let's listen to our lines of integration and disintegration, and let's be the best version of ourselves we can be. Thank you guys, and as always, be present to life.